is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today we're discussing Finding Mr. Christmas, Episode 7, which is exclusively streaming on Hallmark Plus. And if you are listening to this episode and you are not actually watching this show, this is our plea. Do that now. Binge them, because the finale is on tomorrow, Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I just want everyone to be a part of that moment. It's like watching The Bachelor.
The first Bachelor.
Yeah, like the winner of Survivor.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay off my phone. We're going to watch it first thing in the morning and record our thoughts.
Yeah, we're going to have a pretty quick turnaround on the finale episode. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so excited. I got feelings that I think I know how it's going to go, but I don't know.
I do too. And we had messaged one of the Finding Mr. Christmas dudes who is still in the competition. And we were like, psst, you're the winner, right? And they just gave us a laughing emoji.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at the final three, I could make a case for any of the final three to win. However, I feel very strongly about two. And I still think I know who wins. But prepared to be surprised.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's jump right into the opening of the episode, where I feel like, obviously this is all pre-recorded, but I'm like, were they listening to us when we commented on their matching sweaters? Because Elijah's like, apparently I missed the sweater memo, as he's the only one in a flannel.
Yeah, kind of funny. But what I thought was a standout comment in that moment was he's like, said something about sleeping on the couch.
I know.
I'm so intrigued by the sleeping arrangements at this house.
I know. It's all very hush-hush. And I would love to know, like, we never see a bedroom. Mm-hmm. We didn't see, like, the classic, like, room claiming moment in a house when they're all living together. We don't see, like, who's messy and doesn't make their bed. We only see them camera ready.
Only camera ready, and only in certain rooms in the house.
Correct.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I wonder if it's because they have like production people staying in there. There's camera storage. I mean, I don't know.
I am dying to know. Maybe when the show is over, someone will tell us. We can keep a secret. Not really. We have a podcast. We'll tell everybody.
That's right. Did you notice that Elijah here in this moment, as the scene wraps up, is like, I'm coming for 100%. You guys. And I don't know if it's the first time he's ever said that. I've always like blamed Blake for being like that villain guy and Gage for being that villain kind of guy.
Yeah.
Is this the first time Elijah was like, I'm coming for you?
Does it say something about the fact that, like, obviously I enjoy Elijah, that I like took it in a more playful way than I've taken it when it's come from other people?
I think that's fair.
Because we do go into the festive face-off, and there's some unfortunate foreshadowing, because we get Blake saying, I love these dudes, but I love them when they're 2, 3, and 4, and I'm number 1. And unfortunately, I had seen spoilers for this episode before watching it. I was like, yikes.
Yikes. That's always the kiss of death. On Survivor, like if anybody watches Survivor regularly, like I do, when you're like popping off a little bit about like how you're the number 1, that's your doom right there.
Right.
That seals your fate.
Yes.
Like you're going home. Like it's,
especially when they air that
yes,
confessional.
Exactly.
So today's festive face-off challenge is they are gonna build a snowman, and they have items they have to find throughout the room. And they are working in pairs, one of whom will be blindfolded and the other will be their guide. And the goal being listening and communication and taking direction.
Yeah, based off of last week's competition where they had to take direction from
Bring it on home.
Allie Liebert. Yes, it's all coming together now. I thought this was a pretty good festive face-off challenge.
Yeah, me too.
It's super Big Brother, is it not? Like,
yeah,
the whole, like, you have to communicate and listen, and like, those are hard. Like, I would fail this so hard.
Yeah, I don't have like a good sense of direction. I wouldn't do well with being the blindfolded person. I was trying to decide like which partner I would do better as, and I was like, I could sense the frustration of the partner who could see, being like, no, it's right there. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be,
Hey, it's right there.
just
in front of you.
move your hand a little bit. Our pairs are Elijah and Hayden, and Blake and Ezra. And Blake and Hayden are blindfolded dudes. I do think Ezra and Elijah both do a pretty good job of giving directions.
Yeah, I think Ezra really killed it here.
He was very precise and he was very calm. What? And in the beginning, I was like, you gotta speed it up. But no, you need to let the person find it. Don't overwhelm them with information.
Right.
I thought he did a great job. Ezra and Blake do take the early lead.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, like immediately crush it.
Yeah, and not only do they have to find the snowman items, but the blindfolded partner then has to build the snowman blindfolded.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, basically like, well, Hayden was literally crawling on the ground.
Not a bad strategy.
Not a bad strategy, no. But you got to find these things. So like you got to find like a bag full of eyes, and then you got to get back over to your snowman and then put the eyes where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, and your partner is like directing you, like a little to the left, up, and then they just like stab it into the styrofoam snowman.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good, and their snowmen looked like snowmen when they
they
were
did a
done.
nice job.
Yeah, it all came together.
After their early lead, though, Blake and Ezra struggle, and Blake starts to get real frustrated. And I think he gets frustrated with Ezra. But look, this is a partner challenge, and there's equal weight to be borne.
Right, and you can't find the stuff. You can't find the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I think they maybe made a little bit of a mess early on, and then it was harder to find because some of the items were smaller, like there were buttons in like a little burlap sack.
Right.
Hayden and Elijah pick up speed in the end of the competition and they win.
And just like that, hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you noticed how quiet Melissa Peterman has been?
No.
I feel like they're not utilizing her at all for her jokes, her commentary. Not a whole lot lately. In the last 2 episodes, I've noticed it.
That's interesting.
And I don't like it.
I wonder why.
I'm just saying I don't like it.
I know she's definitely a bright spot of this show. I've really loved her. But yeah, we haven't gotten as many like one-liners. Like I will never forget her saying, I just like to watch them run. It's a highlight moment for me. In between the festive face-off and the star quality challenge, Jonathan does sit down with the dudes in kind of like an emotional moment and gives them a chance to like ask questions and about working in the biz.
This was definitely Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model, when Tyra shows up to the house just to be like, okay, let's talk. I'll give you like the opportunity to kind of like air things out and ask me questions and whatever. I enjoyed it. I like that Jonathan Bennett came and did this for the guys. However, Jonathan got emotional.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite buy it.
Wendy.
Well, okay, hear me out. In episode 1, when him and Daxton have this whole exchange, right? About when Daxton says that he is a gay man and sometimes he is too much. And Jonathan reassures him, like, you're never too much, blah, 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 whatever. That felt like a real moment. This here felt a little scripted to me.
For me, I'm the kind of person who cries early, cries often. That's me. Like my emotions live directly under the surface. And so I think I get the impression, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's just a fantastic actor. Or maybe he just has a range of moments that hit him. I think for Jonathan, he cries telling the dudes how proud he is of them and how far he's come. I think also for him, the success of this show, like seeing it come to fruition and like looking back on that, obviously he hasn't seen like the fan reaction to the show at this point in the filming of it. But I think I would imagine as like the creator and the host of this show that was a big swing, he's like, oh, we did it. We're doing it.
When you say it like that I can buy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's like necessarily like, I don't want to say that, not that invested in these guys. He probably is, but like Yeah, I think
I think it's a combination of factors.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and come right back with our star quality challenge. We're back with the star quality challenge, and I need to ask you. It's a dancing challenge, and our special guest is Whitney Carson. Now, was this an exciting moment for you, Wendy?
yes, Whitney is the bomb.
Now, was she on this most recent season of Dancing with the Stars?
She was.
And who was her partner?
His name is Danny. It starts with a I can't remember.
Amendola.
He's a football player.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's taken some time off in the last couple of years. I believe she got married and had some children, but she's often paired with like athletes.
Okay.
She's a fantastic dancer and choreographer.
As was clear here, I thought.
So enjoyable to watch
Yeah.
as well. Like my eyes are always drawn to her. I will never forget. This is my Dancing with the Stars nerd. I should have a Dancing with the Stars podcast.
You should. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, every year they have a Halloween episode, and she did this fantastic number with Frankie Muniz. Am I saying his
Malcolm in
name?
the Middle?
Yeah, that kid. No. He was in Malcolm in the Middle on Fox. Yes, that's him.
Oh, look at that.
Anyway, one of the best numbers I've ever seen. Like, I
Oh.
remember it. It was so good and so scary. And like,
Oh, scary.
yes, because it's the Halloween episode is usually a little like darker,
Spooky.
spookier, like it's on theme. Guys, find a YouTube video and watch it. Anyway, she's a fan-freaking-tastic dancer.
Well, I am not a Dancing with the Stars watcher, although I watch so many clips on social media. I'm like, why don't I watch this show? But the big challenge here is they have to dance. They have to waltz, and then they have a faster dance number at the end. And there is a little bit of some scripted dialogue, not a lot. Fortunately, the scripted dialogue is kind of like worked in between their dancing. They're not waltzing and speaking, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But what I like, she talks about how the waltz should look and feel. And I think that speaks to like the direction piece. Like this is what you're trying to convey when you're dancing the waltz, not just hitting the steps.
Sure.
She's like so encouraging and complimentary when she's teaching them. I was sweating because to me, this seems like the hardest challenge they've had so far.
Well, especially if you don't know how to dance.
Yeah. If you don't know the waltz, if you don't know, I mean, Elijah
I would
is
look like a buffoon. I don't know.
100%. I'd be like, I'm out. Good luck, guys. I'll take my number 4. Let's just fast forward. I mean, Elijah has an advantage, and he talks about, like, I know how to dance. Now, while his style of dance is different, of course, he knows how to, like, pick up choreography. He's been in situations where they're like, let's teach you choreography, and he knows how to do that.
Even though he says, like, I may have been a principal role in Hamilton and had a lot of dance, but he says it takes me a minute to pick up the choreography.
But that being said, he had a huge advantage.
Huge.
I mean, I get it. Like, I hear what you're saying, and I think he was trying to like
Play
set
down a little bit.
expectations, right? Like, sure, I've performed in these productions, but I think he didn't want to be like, you know, he didn't want the villain at it. He didn't want to be like, look at me, bros, I'm a dancer.
Right.
Now, Hayden and Elijah, their reward from winning
Yes.
is, in my opinion, the best advantage anybody's ever gotten throughout this competition.
Because they get extra time with Whitney, right?
Yes. And I think that works out really well for both of them. We see Ezra and Blake rehearsing together. And look, I don't know if it's editing, but Blake does help Ezra understand like the run of the scene. Like he's trying to give him the vibe.
Right.
And then he goes, I shouldn't be telling you this. We're competition.
Yeah, there's something in this moment here. The way that Blake says this, again, I don't hate Blake, but it dawns on me while I'm watching this that he reminds me of somebody I know in my real life. And I was like, oh, that's what is bugging me.
Well, I thought Blake is not subscribing to the Kim Matula school of I want my competition to be at their best as witnessed in the finish line. He's like, I will take any opportunity to kneecap you. Now, the dudes come out. They look very dapper. They're all in bow ties. Ezra's look is a real choice, in my opinion. I like the colors he's wearing. I mean, Ezra looks good in everything he's doing, I'll be honest. But
It would have been cool if they would have had a little extra wardrobe money here to get these guys in some tuxedos, right?
yeah. Now, they do the classic, this is a Survivor moment. This is a Big Brother moment. Bring your loved ones. Bring your leading ladies. So Ezra and Hayden and Blake are all joined by their sisters, and I did get a little emotional when they got emotional. Seeing
I did
them.
too. I did too a little bit.
Wendy's heart is not made of stone. And Elijah's girlfriend is here, and honestly, I'm like, please let it be his girlfriend. Please let it be his girlfriend. And then when he says, "I have not one but two leading ladies," I was like, oh,
Totally agree.
did you just win the competition with that line?
I agree. It makes me so happy to see how excited he is that he's having this baby girl, and he's like all in.
And his girlfriend is gorgeous.
I know. You know who else was really pretty is Ezra's sister, Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
Very pretty. He says she's a model too. I can see it. Like, she has gorgeous eyes.
I mean,
Very
when
pretty.
they first come out, they haven't announced that she's a sister. I'm like, oh, does Ezra have a girlfriend? And we do bring in a live audience for the dancing scene. So Blake goes first, and his waltz is fine. Like, he's a little stiff, but then he fumbles the fast dancing moment, and he asks for a restart.
Did it remind you of that American Idol season? Remember that girl? I don't even remember what her name was, but she was playing the piano on American Idol. It's live. We're voting. And she messes up and she asks to restart.
Oh, I don't remember
It
that.
was years ago. Years ago.
Let me tell you a quick little story. I used to go to horseback riding camp in the summer, and it sounds glamorous. It was not. We shoveled horse poop during the week. Like, we all had chores. But at the end of the week, there was like a show. And they had like horseback riding and vaulting, and you would show animals, and like you would present your animal. And like one year I had to show this very ornery calf that was like completely crazy, and then the next year I won first place in pony showmanship. Now let me tell you,
Look at you.
what they would tell you is no matter what happens, you keep looking at the judge and you keep a smile on your face. So when I was showing my pony, you're in like a ring on the ground, like dirt. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like
Dirt.
but it's not, it's like very fine. It's
Sure,
almost like
okay.
sandy. It's not a smooth surface. Okay. Well, I tripped walking forward.
Oh,
Now, I did not fall down, but I tripped. But you know what I did? I kept smiling the entire time. And I did not like, oh, like I just kept, and I did it. And that is why I won first place. And that is what I think every single time something like this happens in a show where I'm like, you just keep smiling and go on. You do not act like there was a mistake.
Yeah.
You just, let's go with it.
Yeah. Kind of like when Hayden was doing his magic trick and
That is the
failed to
perfect
launch.
example of it. And he just went with it. Like, you don't point out like, oh, I made a mistake. You're like, this is the greatest trick ever. Pretend like it was all meant to be.
So you think Blake fumbles here because he's like, I need to redo.
Now, I don't know what his other option was, because he clearly lost his place. But I think I would rather just see you like smile your way through it, put on a show, than be like, let's restart.
Yeah. Similar to like Ashley Simpson on SNL when she blew it lip singing or whatever and then like ran off the stage. Like, you kind of just got to go with it, right?
Go with the moment.
So do you think he should have just been like, I don't know, doing that shopping cart or like whatever, just to make it like funny? Like, yeah, he blew
something.
it, but not like fully stop the whole thing.
That's a good example. Like, yeah, do the shopping cart or the sprinkler or
Something,
whatever.
yeah.
Put a smile on your face, because here's what's happening here. It doesn't actually matter how good the dudes are because they're dancing with Whitney. So every single performance, I'm not looking at the dudes. She's so good.
That's why Dancing with the Stars is a little unfair, because like if you're a pro female dancer, you always look good. Like you're the star
I do
of the
feel
dance.
like the men celebrities have an advantage.
Absolutely.
Because they're the frame
Yes.
and the women are the showpiece.
Yes.
And I don't know if that makes me a misogynist, but Whitney was the absolute star here. Like the way she whips her hair and the way
so good at it.
she spins and the look on her face. I just was like, yes, some of these dances were fun to watch, but she was fun to watch every single time.
Right.
Okay. And Blake is very charming the second time he does it, but obviously this feels like not good. I think Elijah's great. I wondered if he dropped a line or if they just cut it because we never hear him say like, now let's give him a show. But they could have edited it out.
Yeah, I noticed too. Maybe it was with Ezra. Like Ezra said more lines than anybody else did, I thought. So I think it was just we weren't getting like the same exact.
Yeah, they're trying to make it interesting to watch.
Exactly. Excuse me, but Elijah absolutely owns it.
Yeah.
I'm watching this. I'm like, it's clear he's the winner of this challenge, right?
Look, he's a professional dancer. Whether or not ballroom is his style, he has a clear advantage and it shows.
He's a showman.
Yeah.
So good. Ezra goes next. And look, all I could see, Ezra acts with his eyebrows. There's a lot of eyebrow raising. Well, I enjoy Ezra. I'm not here to dog him at all. He's very nice to look at, and I would love to see him in a Hallmark movie. I thought he did well with dancing too. And Melissa even says, like, that's a big dude out there. He's a real tall guy. Mm-hmm. It's hard to move your body
Gracefully.
Big tall dude.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought he did well though.
I thought Ezra did well too.
Ezra's always crying though.
Yeah, he does break down after.
Always.
Now, we did learn that like Ezra lost his sister and then his youngest sister is here. I think,
As emotions are heightened.
emotions are heightened and they're away from home. They're close to the end.
They're not in the jungle though.
I understand, but they don't have like, they don't have their people to talk
Sure.
to every day. Although I do think they still have their phones because at one point in the show, they're like, Daxton is texting pictures.
Oh yeah.
So I think they still might have their phones. So maybe it's not quite as removed as like a Big Brother Survivor situation.
Yeah.
Hayden is last. His dancing is fine, but he fumbles his dialogue a little bit.
Yeah.
And
He recovers though. At least he doesn't stop like Blake and
just
be like,
keeps going.
I need to redo that scene.
Yeah.
Right? He just kind of like ad-libs it through a little bit, but
he thinks he's going home as a result of his mistakes.
question for you.
Yeah.
His eyes are so blue.
Yeah.
Did you tell me he wears contacts?
No, I told you that Daxton clowned him, like teasing him about his contacts. I don't think he actually does.
So his eyes are that blue?
I think so.
It's scary blue.
It's just very bright blue eyes.
They're so bright.
While the judges deliberate, the guys get to hang out with their loved ones, which is a nice moment. And I did put in my notes before we get to the judges' actual placement of them. I did think Ezra and Elijah were the top two.
I agree.
However, I actually thought I called Elijah as the winner.
Oh, me too. He was heads and tails above the other three.
But Ezra is crowned the winner.
As I'm watching this, I went, what? It kind of made me mad, actually. I was like, first of all, had Ezra ever won a Star Quality Challenge?
I don't think so.
Or were they just giving it to him?
Maybe.
It kind of, look,
And there's no advantage to winning other than you're guaranteed to stay. So,
except for pride.
sure.
I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Clearly, Elijah was spectacular. He thought he did very well, too. And even says in his talking head, like, I think I've won this.
Yeah.
Again, probably the kiss of death to say something like that. But I'm still...
Didn't Elijah win last week?
He's won a lot of them. I'm
So
perplexed.
maybe they're just trying not to make it such an obvious choice going into the finale. And then, of course, they do announce that Elijah is safe. So rather than initially announcing the winner and the loser, they tell Elijah he's safe. So we're down to Blake and Hayden, which was clear to me that's who we were going to be down to after this competition. And
Who did you think was going home?
I thought it was Blake. I thought his blunder was bigger. And I also think if you look back, I don't know how much looking back over the other competitions they're doing and making these decisions.
Well, Jonathan Bennett says, I don't know if you caught it, but he does say, well, it's not just this challenge we're looking at now. Now we're looking at the entire thing.
And I think if you look at that, Hayden is the stronger of the two overall.
For sure.
So for me, it felt very clear that Blake needed to go home. Blake thanks everybody. But what's so funny to me is he thanks Melissa and then he goes, and thank you to you. I was like, did you forget Jonathan's name with your nerves?
Oh, I thought that too. Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
I actually wrote in my notes, did you forget Jonathan's name with your nerves just like you forgot the dance? I'm sorry, Blake. Keep in mind, I'm not the Blake hater of the two of us.
Not either, Summit.
And I really love Melissa's glittery caftan here. I would just like to point it out.
I love Melissa Peterman so much.
So we are headed into the finale. Today is Wednesday that this episode is coming out. We will be releasing another Finding Mr. Christmas finale episode recap turnaround real quickly on Friday. And if you're a Finding Mr. Christmas fan, don't go anywhere because we may have something for you next week as well. Thank you for listening to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Bramble Jam podcast. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. Please leave them in the Apple Podcast app if that's where you're listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.